Hello and welcome to the Witching Hour. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, still grotesque, still creepy, as we usually do with the same theme. I have always been fascinated with embalming practices and historic embalming practices and mummification. And of course, that's going to lead to the ancient Egyptians and their practices of embalming and mummification rituals. So let's get into that right now. Origins and evolution of mummification. Ancient Egyptian mummification and embalming, a detailed overview. That's what we're going to go over today. I've done research. I've got some notes here we're going to go over. It's really fun. Mummification in ancient Egypt was a complex and sacred process aimed at preserving the body for the afterlife. The practice evolved over thousands of years, with the most sophisticated techniques occurring during the New Kingdom period. That was about 1550 to 1070 BCE during ancient Egypt. The Egyptians believed that preserving the body was crucial for the deceased to achieve immortality in the afterlife. So the origins and evolution of mummification. Prehistoric period before 3100 BCE, early burials involved natural preservation, where bodies were buried in shallow graves and dried by the hot desert sand. Old Kingdom, 2686 to 2181 BCE, the first artificial attempts at mummification began, but techniques were rudimentary. Middle Kingdom, 2055 to 1650 BCE. There'll be a lot of dates here. I love dates of history. This is just, I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. These are great, interesting facts. The process became more refined with increased use of resin and linen wrappings. New Kingdom, 1550 to 1070 BCE. The most elaborate and perfected mummification techniques emerged during this era, including removal of internal organs and embalming. So even way back in ancient times, they were removing organs and doing preservation on the body like that. These are practices that we use in funeral homes today. A lot of these similar things. Well, we don't remove organs, but there are certain techniques that funeral directors do to preserve the internal organs, and I will go over that in another podcast. Who performed mummification? Priests and embalmers. Mummification was carried out by a specialized group of priests who were skilled embalmers. They followed strict rituals, often conducted in temples or workshops near the Nile. The high priest, known as the lector priest, recited prayers during the process. Rules and duties. Chief embalmer, they called him Harry Heb, I believe. I butcher a lot of these names. A lot of these ancient names are difficult to pronounce, so you'll have to forgive me. I'll spell them out for you, and you can look them up later if you'd like, but I'll do the best I can. Supervised the entire process and wore a jackal mask representing Anubis. Anubis, the god of mummification. So he's that jackal mask looking god that is in the hieroglyphics on ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics that you see on tombs. He usually has a staff, or he's handing over the Ankh, which is a symbol of peace in the next life. So that is Anubis. He's like the god of the afterlife. He's like the guide, the afterlife of death. He has everything to do with that kind of stuff. Assistants carried out the physical work, such as washing the body and applying oils. Scribes marked the incision points on the body to guide embalmers. The mummification process, a 70-day ritual. Can you believe that? 70 days. I actually have worked in a funeral home, and the average embalming, which is the process of preserving a body today and filling a body with a chemical called formaldehyde, it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. But if the body is severely damaged and has repairs that need to be done, then it could take longer. It could take 5 hours, 6 hours or more. But 70 days for this mummification process. Step 1, purification and washing. The body was transported to the embalming tent, known as the Ibu purification place, IBU. Ibu, maybe Ibu? Ibu? It was washed with palm wine and rinsed with Nile water. Step 2, removal of organs. Evisceration. A small incision about 4 inches long was made in the left side of the abdomen. Internal organs, intestines, stomach, liver, and lungs were removed and embalmed separately. That's a lot of work. Interesting how they did that. So it was all separately. The heart was often left in place or replaced with a scarab amulet. I think that's how you say it, scarab amulet. While the brain was extracted through the nostrils using a hook, the cranial cavity was filled with resin. So the brain was taken out. It's wild. Step 3, dehydration. Drying with natron, N-A-T-R-O-N, not natron. The body was covered and packed with natron, a natural salt, to dry it out. This process lasted around 40 days. Natron absorbed all moisture, preventing decomposition. So preventing decomposing, the main preservation. Step 4, wrapping and bandaging. After dehydration, the body was washed again and coated with oils and resins. The embalmers packed the body with linen or sawdust to restore its shape. The body was wrapped in layers of linen, up to 20 layers, with amulets and charms placed between the wrappings for protection. Step 5, the final rites and burial. A golden mask for nobles and pharaohs was placed over the face to represent the deceased's ideal form. So that's why you see in King Tut's tomb, he's got that golden mask on his sarcophagus. His sarcophagus is like our modern day coffins or caskets. And it was just a big, beautiful, engraved handiwork of just gold and fine materials made into a casket. And then the cover was this mask. They would put this mask over the body and then they would cover him in the sarcophagus. I guess they mentioned that later. I'm getting ahead. A golden mask for nobles and pharaohs was placed over the face to represent the deceased's ideal form. The priest performed the opening of the mouth ceremony to restore senses to the deceased, allowing them to eat, drink, and speak in the afterlife. The mummified body was placed in a coffin or sarcophagus and transported to the tomb. Canopic jars. These are so cool. I've looked up pictures of canopic jars, and they hold the internal organs of the mummified individuals. Very interesting. The internal organs were stored in 4 canopic jars, each topped with the head of one of Horus' 4 sons. Imsati, human head, protected the liver. So the canopic jar with the human head had the liver in it. Hapi, H-A-P-Y, baboon head, protected the lungs. So the baboon head had the lungs. And Duwimmatef, the jackal head, protected the stomach. So that's D-U-A-M-U-T-E-F. And then the Quebesinuef falcon head protected the intestines. That's Quebehsenuef. So there's usually four, four, like it said, canopic jars. And they contain the liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines. We already heard about the heart. What happens to the heart, and the brain's taken out with a hook through the nose. And if I remember, the heart was often left in place or replaced. So if it was replaced, it was replaced with that amulet that I said, the scarab amulet. Okay, that's right. Interesting. And then preservation of royalty. Pharaohs like Tut, King Tut, from 1332 to 1323 BCE, and Ramses II, 1279 to 1213 BCE, were mummified using elaborate techniques involving gold and precious materials. Royal tombs, such as those in the Valley of the Kings, were designed to house the mummified bodies and protect them for eternity. Mummification for commoners. While full mummification was expensive, similar methods such as wrapping in linen and partial organ removal were available to lower classes. Pets and sacred animals like cats and ibises were also mummified and buried with their owners. So IBISES, it's an interesting word. Symbolism and beliefs. Ka, vital essence, I think it's Ka, K-A, or Ba, personality, B-A, and Ankh, immortal staff. I think that's the Ankh, A-K-H, or immortal self, sorry, not staff. Egyptians believed that preserving the body allowed the Ka and Ba to reunite and transform into the Ankh, and enabling the deceased to enter the afterlife. Tombs were filled with goods, food, and shabtai figurine. Shabtai, S-H-A-B-T-I, to serve the deceased in the next world. Significance and legacy. Mummification continued until the Christian era, 4th century CE, but declined as burial practices changed. The ancient Egyptians' preservation methods have provided modern archaeologists with remarkable insights into their culture, beliefs, and daily life. Famous mummies and discoveries. Of course, King Tut's tomb, discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, one of the most intact examples of royal burial practices. Ramses II mummy, discovered in 1881, showed sophisticated embalming techniques with hair and skin still preserved. Mummification reflects the Egyptians' deep spiritual beliefs and advanced knowledge of anatomy and chemistry. So I have always been fascinated by death and dying and the mummification process and embalming. And these practices are still practiced today, but of course different. It doesn't take 70 days. We don't stick our organs in canopic jars. I would personally love to be embalmed and mummified and stick in a sarcophagus and have canopic jars for my organs, but I would want to pay for that myself. I don't think I'm anybody special or royal, or it's not for that reason at all. I'm just fascinated by that kind of stuff, and I love the history, and I just think it'd be really cool. So anyway, that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed that podcast about the detailed information about embalming and the mummification process during ancient Egyptian times. Tune in next time for more scary and creepy stories and history and facts and things. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate all those that have done so. There'll be more content, of course, coming soon. Until then, stay creeped out. So long, my friends.